If you look at the history of Islam, you will see that in the 7th century, Prophet Muhammad introduced this religion to the world. That is how Islam began. But there is a small chapter in Islamic history that people rarely talk about, the chapter of the false prophets. Many people don't even know about this. But when Islam was rising, Prophet Muhammad wasn't the only one claiming to be a prophet. There were a few individuals in the Arab region who also began presenting themselves as prophets. You may find it hard to believe, but the situation back then was so unusual that a man who had accepted Islam just a few days earlier returned to Prophet Muhammad and claimed that he himself was a new prophet. Yes, he declared himself a prophet. He said, "The same angel who brought revelation to Muhammad has come to me as well." Not only that, he wrote his own versions of Quran, performed fake miracles and misled an entire tribe with his lies. Many people don't know this, but Islamic history mentions several false prophets, and among them the most infamous was Musaylima al-Kadhdhab, the biggest false prophet in Islamic history. It was because of this man that the Quran was finally compiled into a book. Before that, the Quran was not written down, people preserved it through memory. Musaylimah's claim was not spiritual, it was political. It was a move to gain power. Today, I will tell you the story of this Musaylimah, the man who claimed that Allah had sent two prophets at the same time, Prophet Muhammad and Musaylimah himself. Who were these false prophets? Why did they make such claims? And how did these claims lead to the deaths of thousands? Watch this video till the end to know the full story. It was the 7th century, a time when Islam was still very new in the Arabian Peninsula. In Mecca, Prophet Muhammad was preaching the message of one God and spreading the faith. Around the same time, Musaylimah also declared himself a prophet. But Musaylimah was not the only one. In the early years of Islam, several others falsely claimed prophethood and created serious problems for the Muslim community. History mentions names like Sajah bint Al-Harith in Iraq, Al-Aswad Al-Ansi in Yemen, and Tulayha ibn Khuwaylid. But among all of them, Musaylimah was the most powerful and most influential. That is why his story stands out and why Muslims eventually had to fight a major battle against him. Musaylimah was the leader of the Banu Hanifa tribe. He also married Qasiyah bint Al-Harith, a woman from the respected Banu Abd Shams clan, a branch of the Quraysh, the same tribe into which Prophet Muhammad was born. Musaylimah lived in Yamamah, known in those days as Al-Yamamah, an ancient region near Najd in present-day Saudi Arabia. He was so respected in that area that people called him Rahman al-Yamamah, meaning the merciful one of Yamamah. This title alone shows how powerful and influential he was in his homeland. Musaylimah was educated, sharp and very persuasive. His clever way of speaking often impressed people. Islamic historians like Ibn Sa'd al-Tabari have written about him in detail. They mention that during the time when Prophet Muhammad was spreading Islam, Musaylimah travelled to Medina and with members of his tribe. There he accepted Islam and pledged allegiance to the Prophet. But he had come with a different intention. A few months after returning from Medina, Musaylimah declared himself a prophet in his own region of Yamamah. He announced, "Muhammad is a prophet and so am I." He claimed that just as the angel Gabriel brought revelation to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the same angel was now bringing messages to him as well. Musaylimah even claimed that these revelations came directly from Allah's angel Gabriel and that he was a partner of Prophet Muhammad in prophethood, equal in status and authority. This was a bold and extremely dangerous claim because in Islam it is clearly established that Prophet Muhammad is the final prophet of Allah. Because Musaylimah was so popular in the region of Yamamah, his followers began treating his messages with the same respect that Muslims had for the Quran. After Prophet Muhammad passed away, Musaylimah and his supporters believed that people might turn to him instead, since their self-declaration prophet was still alive. With this ambition in mind, Musaylimah started using every possible tactic to prove his prophethood. He even made several public statements to convince people that he was chosen by God. One of his most bizarre efforts was creating what he called verses of Allah. These verses tried to rhyme like Quranic verses, but they had no depth, no wisdom or meaning. Historian Al-Baladhuri writes that Musaylimah began composing his own Quran filled with strange and almost laughable lines. For example, one of his so-called verses said, "O mother frog, you live in the water and croak outside." People with sense would laugh after hearing such lines, but his blind followers treated them as holy revelations. To prove that he was a prophet, Musaylimah also claimed to perform miracles. He said he could turn dry land green, increase the water in wells, heal the sick, and even predict the future for pregnant women. But almost all of these so-called miracles were tricks, exaggerations, or outright deceptions. Historians mention that many of his miracles failed and some even caused harm. For example, he would spit in someone's eye claiming it would restore their vision, but instead their eyesight would get worse. When he tried to bless a well to increase its water, the well dried up completely. Yet his followers explained these failures away by saying it was simply Allah's will. Musaylimah even introduced new laws to attract more people towards him. Laws that often hurt his own followers, but he continued enforcing them to strengthen his claim of prophethood. Musaylimah went even further. He allowed his followers to drink alcohol and permitted zina, illicit sexual relations. He also introduced a strange rule that a newly married couple did not have to consummate their marriage the next day. These rules were completely against the teachings of Prophet Muhammad and the principle of Islamic Sharia. He created these permissions only to attract people, especially those who found Islamic laws difficult or were unwilling to give up their old habits. Many people were drawn to him because they wanted a religion where they could live however they wished, without any restrictions. But Musaylimah did not stop there. When Prophet Muhammad was still alive, Musaylimah sent him a letter claiming that Allah had given him half the land and Prophet Muhammad the other half, and that they should rule together. The Prophet replied with a powerful message. If you are offering me equality, then you are a Kadhdhab, a liar. The heavens and the earth belong only to Allah. The word Kadhdhab means liar or false claimant, and that is how Musaylimah became known in history as Musaylima al-Kadhdhab, meaning Musaylimah the liar. Musaylimah had already increased his activities during the lifetime of Prophet Muhammad, but after the Prophet's death, he crossed every limit. When Prophet Muhammad passed away, Musaylimah announced so-called revelation. Its meaning was, listen people, beat your drum and dance, sing praises to your prophet. For the prophet of Banu Hashim has left this world and your own new prophet now arises. This is so-called verse shows the joy his followers felt that their prophet was still alive and the kind of hope they now placed in Musaylimah for the future. After the passing of Prophet Muhammad, leadership of the Muslim community went to the first caliph Abu Bakr. At this time, Musaylimah believed he could replace Prophet Muhammad by proving his own prophethood. Because of this growing danger, Abu Bakr launched a large campaign across Arabia known as the War of Ridda, the first war against apostasy. The Ridda wars were essentially a jihad against false prophets and against those who had abandoned Islam. After the Prophet's death, Musaylimah and others like him not only declared themselves prophets, but many tribes also stopped practicing Islam and refused to pay zakat, the compulsory charity. Some tribes even began openly supporting Musaylimah. This widespread rebellion threatened the unity and stability of a new Muslim community. Abu Bakr decided to take firm action to protect Islam and keep the nation united. The battle against Musaylimah and his followers became one of the most important parts of the Ridda wars. If you think Musaylimah was a weak man who could be easily defeated by Abu Bakr, that isn't true. Musaylimah was extremely powerful with his tribe and had gathered a huge following. After the death of Prophet Muhammad, Musaylimah became more political rebel than a religious one. This is why the major battle of Yamama took place between him and the Caliph's forces. The battle was fought in 1632 AD and it is remembered as one of the bloodiest battles in early Islamic history. Musaylimah commanded an army of nearly 40,000 fighters, many of them fierce warriors loyal to their tribe. In response, Caliph Abu Bakr sent one of Islam's greatest commander, Khalid ibn al-Walid, known as the Sword of Allah. Khalid was famous for his brilliant strategies and unmatched courage. Although his army consisted of experienced Muslim soldiers, they were fewer in number compared to Musaylimah forces. The Battle of Yamama was intense and brutal. In the early stages, the Muslims suffered heavy losses because Musaylimah's fighters fought fiercely. Many companions of Prophet Muhammad were martyred, including several who had memorized the Quran by heart. Losing these Haffaz was a painful and devastating moment for the Muslim community. It remains one of the most tragic chapters in Islamic history. The Muslim scholar Ibn Kathir writes, never before had so many Haffaz been killed at one time. This tragic moment became a turning point. Hazrat Umar then advised that the Quran should be compiled as a written book, otherwise this priceless oral treasure might one day be lost. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Khalid ibn al-Walid regrouped his forces and launched a strong counterattack. Musaylimah's army began to weaken and fall back. Realizing that the defeat was certain, Musaylimah fled and hid in a fortified area known as Bagh-e-Rahman. But Khalid pursued him there as well and sent a special unit to capture him. Musaylimah and many of his fighters were hiding inside this enclosure. The clashes here were so violent that Bagh-e-Rahman came to be known as the Garden of Death. In the end, Musaylimah was killed by a Muslim soldier named Wahshi ibn Harb, the same man who years earlier had martyred Prophet Muhammad's uncle Hazrat Hamza during the Battle of Uhud. After Musaylimah's death, Khalid ibn al-Walid's army defeated the rest of his followers. Friends, the defeat of Musaylimah in the Battle of Yamama was a truly historic moment. In the end, it ended the rise of false prophets and protected the unity and stability of Islam. This victory strengthened Abu Bakr's caliphate and helped secure the foundations of Islamic State. It was because of this battle that the Quran was finally compiled into a single written book instead of existing only through memorization. Musaylima al-Kadhdhab is remembered in history as a liar and a deceiver. His downfall proved that lies cannot stand for long and that truth always rises in the end. His story also shows how the personal ambition of a man can twist religious beliefs and bring chaos to society. But at the same time, this chapter highlights the courage, faith and unity of the early Muslims who were willing to risk their lives to protect their new religion and its values. Musaylimah's story is not just the tale of a deceiver, it is also a window into an era of struggle, leadership and unwavering faith that helped shape the early history of Islam. So this was the story of fake prophets in early Islam. I hope you liked the video. If you like this video, please like and share the video to your friends, family and others as well, and subscribe this channel for the more updates. Thank you.